Clive, do you have a moment?
Of course. Always.
I wanted to give you something.
Is this?
I stitched it from the cloth you gave Hortense. The piece she said you liked best. I told her I used to enjoy needlework, but I didn't think she'd remember.
It's beautiful, Jill. You didn't have to.
When I was very little, I recall my mother telling me that young ladies of the court would give knights ribbons from their hair before they went off to war. I still wear mine, so I made you this instead. White is the color of faith. Faith in your friends, your family, your purpose. Unblemished, unfeigned. Just like my faith in you.
Our faith. May it ever steer us true.
And may it ever bring you back to me. I will always, always be here.
Thank you, Jill.
Clive, my boy! Rutherford informs me that we owe you our thanks. Hadn't intended for you to get involved, but such are the times we live in, huh?
I would have done the same for anyone else.
You're far too modest, Clive. You'd make a terrible nobleman. But tell me, is the realm truly in as dire a state as Rutherford suggests?
From what little I saw, you were right to be worried.
I suppose I should have expected the worst. But I was rather hoping the great and good of the realm might have things a little more under control. Alas, it seems that firm leadership is in short supply these days, and without it, the people are bound to lose their way. We must move quickly.
But where do we start?
True, the challenges that face us are many. But in my estimation, there are two key areas to be addressed before any other. The realm's armies and her larders. As you've seen firsthand, it's every man and woman for themselves out there. Certain cities have banded together to try and maintain some semblance of order, yes, but such cases are few and far between. And yet, the only remedy for the chaos that faces us is unity. A unity that transcends even the borders laid down by our ancestors. In short, if Storm does not stand together, she will fall apart.
But how would one even begin to unite the realm?
The armies, my boy. As I told you already, we begin by restoring order among the ranks of those sworn to maintain it. Sadly, I doubt I could convince even the lowliest gaggle of privates to dig a latrine together. But I do know someone the High Commanders have been known to listen to on occasion. Field Marshal Eugen Havel.
I thought he was retired.
He was, until an Akashic army tore through Randalar and killed most of the rank and file. There is no man alive more capable. Literally. And as luck would have it, I've already spoken with him on the matter.
Of course you have.
And he's agreed to help. On one condition. That he first speaks with you personally. Havel has always been a man of frustratingly rigid principle, and he has certain qualms about clasping arms with, well, with an outlaw. I extolled your many virtues as best I could, of course, but the old goat was adamant that he be allowed to appraise you in person. You don't mind, do you, my boy?
Of course not. As long as chaos reigns, we will never build a better world. I'll do whatever it takes. And if the Field Marshal wishes to speak with me in person, then so be it.
That's the spirit.
I'll leave for Randalar at once. Would you send a Stolas?
Of course. Rutherford is already in the Dalmekian capital. I'll have him tell Havel to expect you forthwith.
Excellent. Thank you, Uncle.
No, thank you, Clive.
Ah, Clive.
Joshua, what's wrong? And don't say nothing.
It's... nothing. I've received word from Cyril. The Undying have found Father's will, or something akin to it.
His will? How and where?
In the crypt, beneath Rosalith Castle. After Kupka was kind enough to drive out the Imperials, the Undying took the opportunity to recover what relics of the Duchy yet remained. And in the process of doing so, they found a letter from Father.
I'm surprised anything survived down there.
Cyril asked that I join him in Tabor at my convenience. I have been meaning to go, but... would you join me?
Of course. I want to know what's in that letter as much as you do.
Very well. I am ready to leave when you are.
Sid, do you have a moment?
By all means.
It's my old master. Seems there's no escaping her. She found some way to send me a letter. And something else. Records from a Waluda prison. Seems they were keeping a lot of bearers there.
How did she come by such a thing?
Finding bearers always was her strong point. And it seems the cells of Balmung Dark are full of them. Foreign captives, the masterless. Bearers no one would miss. And even better for her, bearers with no one to look after them. When ether started lapping at the walls, the jailers fled.
Leaving the bearers to be liberated by whoever happened to come along next.
Sid, I'd like to believe that I've earned your trust by now. And while I'm well aware that you've forbidden Cursebreakers from traveling to Waloed, I can't let those bearers die in their cells. I'd rather risk shipwreck on the Shadow Coast than leave them to starve.
We'll be needing the Enterprise if we're going to navigate the Narrow.
Does that mean...
I'm making an exception, but we travel together. And we stay no longer than we have to. Ash is an inhospitable place at the best of times. We save as many as we can, and we leave.
Thank you, Sid. There was a name in the prison register. A name from my past. Chadwick. Another of my former master's protégés. A gifted soldier, and the closest thing I had to family. The thought of him held captive in that place.
He must be very important to you.
He was. Is.
Then we find him.
The entrance to the prison lies in the shadow of Ravenwit Walls, just beyond the portcullis. We should head there as quickly as we can. I only pray there are still bearers alive to save.
As do I, Doris.
Sid, I was wondering if you could help me.
It depends what with.
A bearer, but recently freed from his bonds, is keen to join the Cursebreakers. As you know, the work we do is not easy, which is why we test every volunteer's suitability. I was hoping you could oversee this one's evaluation.
I don't mind, but why this one?
Because he wants to be a scout. Our ranks are filled with men and women capable of breaking chains and putting slavers to the sword. But scouting, we're few with the nose for that, which is why we still rely so heavily on Gav. And since he accompanies you on so many of your missions, I thought you might be better placed to recognize the traits in him that we should look for in those who'd fill his boots.
Sounds reasonable.
So you happy to oversee the boys' test, then?
One can never have too many scouts.
Truer words, Sid. I'll let the initiate know that you'll be attending his trial, and that he is to proceed directly to Northreach in readiness.
No time like the present, eh?
No time like the present. I'll await you there.
Northreach. I don't suppose they could have chosen somewhere closer. Vivian, I read your note, and I'd be happy to help you find the book you're looking for.
Thank you, Clive. But tracking it down will not be easy. Are you sure?
Please. You have always granted me your wisdom and insight whenever I asked. It's only right that I return the favor. Or at least attempt to.
You are too kind. Alas, what I ask of you is rather more trying than delivering the odd lecture. I spoke with Harpocrates to see if he had any inkling as to where another copy might be found, but perhaps it is best that you hear the details from him.
If you say so.
Forgive me, Clive, for asking this of you. But this book, it set me on the path to becoming who I am today. Its importance cannot be overstated.
How are you doing? Quick look. Always something in there.
What do you think happened to Miss...
Sid, you have to help us.
With what? You didn't take apart another of Mid's contraptions, did you?
No? Well, yes, but that's not what we want to talk to you about.
It's Miss Mididol. She's been acting strange. Very strange. She's barely ever around.
And when she is, she acts like we aren't even there. Her head's in a crowd.
In the clouds.
That's what I said, in the clouds.
Well, she does have a lot on her mind. When did you last see her?
Not long ago. Right after she got back from saving you from Stoneir.
Then it's probably just about the Enterprise. It did take quite a battering on the way there and back.
You didn't break it, did you, Sid? You really should be more careful around Miss Mididol's inventions. Don't listen to her. Even if you did break the Enterprise, you could put it back together, couldn't you?
But who's gonna put Miss Mididol back together? She seems really sad.
Why don't I go and see if I can cheer her up?
You do that? For us? She's in her dungeon.
Don't scare him. It's not a real dungeon.
Thanks for the warning. Mid, if you have a...
That's it! I knew it! The answer was right here under my arse all along! If this doesn't steer to the skies, nothing will!
To the skies? You aren't trying to give the Enterprise wings, are you?
What else would I be doing?
The children seem to think you're avoiding them. They're worried about you. Is this really so important that you need to shut yourself away from everyone?
The The Enterprise is already the fastest ship in the realm, and that's with the sea beneath her. But what if she weren't bound to the waves? What if she weren't bound to anything at all? It's not fair. The gods get the skies all to themselves, so I'm gonna do something about it. The Fallen had their chance, but they relied too much on magic. And see where that got them? But not me. I've discovered how to do it without. Well, almost. First, I need to make a prototype.
And is that a one-woman job?
Are you volunteering? I'll have you know the Enterprise is my baby. But if her godfather's offering to lend a hand, I'd be happy to take it. First, I'll need oil, and not just some old drippings from Miss Molly's spits in the Tub and Crown. Refined stuff, like they make in Ordil. Then I'll need some bone, or shell. Light, strong, preferably no longer attached to the beast it belongs to.
If it's beast bones you're after, I'm sure the curse breakers will know where you might find some.
No, they'll know where you might find some. You're the one who offered to help, remember?
I should speak with one of the curse breakers before I set off for Old Hill. If I can't find this bone while I'm there as well.
Has Midadol mentioned a new project yet?
Not exactly.
All right, Sid. Come to buy us around, have you?
Only if you earn it. Mid needs a piece of light but durable bone for her next project. You've encountered your share of beasts on your travels across the realm. Any ideas?
Most bones are the same. Whack 'em hard enough and they'll break. If it's durability you're looking for, shell will serve you better. You know what an adamantus is?
I do. And I know to give them a wide berth. Will any old adamantus do?
Well, with shells, the older the harder. There's a rumour of an ancient adamantus down in Karava, near Old Bidza, or what's left of the village anyway. But don't expect to make quick work of the bastard. There's a reason it's lived as long as it has.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Clive, my boy. What a pleasure it is to see you.
Harpocrates. There's something I need to ask you. I've been charged with locating a book called From a Distance.
Then you seek a rare gem indeed. One whose name I had not thought to hear from your lips. You've been talking to Vivian.
Right as always. But she didn't seem keen to tell me very much. I take it she didn't like what you had to say.
And yet I gather it did naught to dissuade her. Clive, if the young professor has tasked you with obtaining a copy, I fear she asks the impossible. The executors would not allow it.
The executors?
Coveters of Secrets, a clandestine organization committed to the collection and intenebration of forbidden texts and technologies. One such text being the tome Vivian seeks, chronicling as it does the true history of the enslavement of bearers, a tale which could overturn the established order were it ever to become widely known. Or, so rumor has it. I've never actually read the thing, or even set eyes on it for that matter.
How is it that I haven't heard of this organization?
Why, secrecy is the Executor's watchword. They lurk in the shadows, emerging only to seize that which must be seized, be it books, inventions, or people, before disappearing again, leaving nary a trace.
Which would explain why Vivian's copy was snatched from her grasp not long after she found it.
By the hand of the Executors, yes.
But what drives them? Self-interest or ideology?
A fine question. Sadly, all that is known of the Executors can be recounted in a single breath. You may just as soon ask me of their origins, numbers, or the identities of their leaders. Any answer I give would be pure speculation.
Then my hunt was doomed from the first. What was Vivian expecting? That I'd pluck it from thin air?
Not from thin air, no. From ash. Rumors of the Executors are rife among the scholars of Storm, but rather less so across the Strait. I have a friend. Well, I had a friend in the village of Garnick, a collector of rare tomes, upon which subject we would oft correspond. Alas, I have heard naught from him since the skies fell dark. And no doubt he too has turned. But though he did not mention it by name, it is possible that a surviving copy of From a Distance yet rests upon one of his many shelves, quietly awaiting discovery. If you were, by some chance, able to save even a single book from the poor man's library, I know his soul would rest easier.
Very well. When I next find myself in Waloed, I'll be sure to pay Garnick a visit.
You all right? You off then?
Say what you will.
Lady Karen and Seymour's.
Pining for something, boy. What is it? What do you see out there? I never did ask where you got that anklet of yours.
From Sid, that's why. On the day he brought him home.
That long ago?
And you're only thinking to ask this now? Sid saw that the pup had a habit of gnawing on his leg, since you ask. Clap that there iron on him to keep him from doing it.
What was wrong, boy?
I'll take like as not. Must have been hard on the poor whelp losing his loving masters at such a young age. Doubly hard in being a frost wolf, torn away from his icons and all. Sid would always tell him, you want that iron gone, you find what it is you're looking for. I reckon what he were looking for was you.
I'm sorry, Torgal. Sorry for making you wait so long. Let's get that thing off you.
Doesn't sound like he wants it off.
Indeed. You miss Sid as much as the rest of us, don't you? You want me to go with you somewhere?
Quick, aren't you? Glad you've been paying attention.
Not nearly as much as you have, Lady Karen.
Aye, good thing and all. It's not like Gav would have kept him in nuts and rubbed his belly these past 10 summers.
Your kindness is appreciated. You've been a good friend to him.
Only because he doesn't talk back like the rest of you. Go on now.
Where to then, Torgal? All right, Torgal. Where are you taking me? I'm going to need a little bit more than that, boy. Do you have a better hint for me? Unless... you've already given me one. Back on the rear deck, you were looking west, toward Rosaria. Why don't we try the rookery? I haven't been to the island in almost 20 years. To Port Isolde, then. Fingers crossed the old mooring is still there. It's still here. After all these years. A lot smaller than I remember. And you're a lot bigger. You might have to swim, boy. I wasn't being serious.
You two go on without me. I doubt that boat will hold a third.
If you're sure, we won't be long. Hop in, boy. This place hasn't changed at all. The rookery's right through those trees. Come on. Race you there? I bet I could still beat you. Here we are. This was our hideaway. Wasn't it, Torgal? Coming here helped me to forget who I was. Or wasn't. Prince, shield. Son his mother could love. Had I been any one of those things? Perhaps. What is it, boy? This is all from the castle. And Phoenix Gate. Did you bring these here? My sparring sword. Well. You never stopped looking for me, did you, boy? Thank you, Torgal. For never giving up. For never forgetting. Let's take this with us, shall we? So I don't forget either. That's not the way back to the boat, Torgal. All right. I'm coming. I think I know where we're going. People always talk about the importance of putting the past behind you. But without it, we wouldn't be who we are today. And we certainly couldn't steer our way to a better tomorrow. Come on, Torgal. Let's go home. Sorry for the wait. We're ready.
Well met. Why don't you sell me something first?
May Gilbert smile.
On you.
Do you see that too?
What is it? Oh, please. Just make it stop. I'm scared.
It's all right. I'm here.
Good girl. Can't be Rutherford, can it?
Turncoats and cowards, the lot of you! If it's a fight you want, it's a fight you shall have!
Allow me.
I don't need your...
Please, Field Marshal. Oblige him.
This won't take long.
You're right. It won't. Men, finish him.
A little longer than I'd have liked. Field Marshal Havel, I presume. Are either of you injured?
No, my lord. You arrived just as our escort turned on us.
Fucking traitors. I'd heard reports of soldiers in the outlying regions abandoning the oaths they swore. But I hadn't thought the corruption had reached so close to the heart of the Republic. It's a fucking disgrace. Your interfering old bastard of an uncle tried to warn me, of course. My lord Marquis. Or is Sid the Outlaw more to your liking?
Call me what you want. It doesn't change who I am. Or the urgency of the message I bring. My uncle has a plan to right the realm, and he needs your help to see it through.
Before I agree to anything, I'd have you answer one question. What do you stand to gain from all this?
I won't deny that I might benefit from further chaos. But I seek a new beginning for all of us. And while the choices I've made may not always have been the right ones, I know I made them for the right reasons. For so long, so many of us have been told how we could live, how we could die, when it should have been our decision all along. Now we have a chance to put things right. But in order to take it, we must stand together. Even if it be beside those with whom we don't see eye to eye.
Certainly not the words I expected from an outlaw. But perhaps your uncle was right. You are no ordinary outlaw. I'll never hear the end of this. All right. I'll start by ordering my most trusted guard to bring the Dhalmekian fringes under control. Next, I'll make contact with my counterparts in the Imperial Army and see if I can't convince them to try and restore order in their own territory.
Thank you, Field Marshal.
But they are not the only ones we will need to convince.
What do you mean?
I don't doubt that I can bully some sense into a few generals. But those they answer to require a different kind of persuasion. And when it comes to honeyed words, well, we will need an envoy. One who can court even the most stubborn of statesmen. You, perhaps.
I'm flattered. But I'm no diplomat either. And I have other problems to attend to. What we need is a skilled arbitrator. And I may know just the person.
Is that so? And would he happen to be an outlaw too?
Of a different kind, perhaps.
Well, beggars can't be choosers. I suppose we'll all have to find a little of the outlaw in ourselves if we're to make it through this. Very well. Send your man to me right away.
I shall.
My Lord Marquis. Your Lord Uncle bade me escort the Field Marshal to his manor in Port Isolde.
And I will see that my associate joins you there.
Very good, my lord.
An envoy. I'm not sure I'm the man to talk anyone round. I can barely convince my brother to take his medicine. No. This is a job for someone with experience. Someone like Quentin. I hope I can convince him at least. Quentin, I have a proposal for you.
Do you now?
Something tells me you'll be asking more of me than a cask of Gotand gold. Go on then. Propose. You'd have me convince the chiefs and chamberlains of the realm that they should simply swallow their pride and do the one thing that has proved impossible for thousands of years. Was there anything else? Perhaps I can fetch you a meat pie as well.
I know it's a lot to ask, but I can think of none better suited to the role.
And you'd have me give up what little I have left to do it. I told you, Clive. The people of Lostwing are my family, and I cannot abandon them. You'll have to find someone else.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So am I.
And why might that be?
What he's asking. How's it any different to what you've done so far? They want you to speak for those who can't speak for themselves. That's what you do best. If it's the vineyard you're worried about, we'll see that the grapes are picked and the tons filled. You know we will.
It's not that.
Then what is it? You said yourself we're family. Don't you trust us?
You know that's not what I'm...
Then what are you saying? That only we are worth saving? Why turn your back on everyone else? You convinced us we could build new lives for ourselves, and if you can do that, who's to say you couldn't convince the entire realm?
A stirring argument. I fear that any rejoinder I make might fall somewhat flat by comparison.
So you'll join us?
Where do you need me?
Field Marshal Havel will want to speak with you in person. He's currently in Port Isolde. I can arrange for a party of Cursebreakers to accompany you there.
That would be very much appreciated. I hear the roads are far from safe these days.
Hopefully not for long. My uncle will want to know that his plan is taking shape. Uncle, I bring good news. The Field Marshal has agreed to your plan.
Ha! Of course he has. I didn't doubt you for a moment, dear boy.
Rutherford is accompanying him back to your manor in Port Isolde as we speak. They will await your return there. As will one other.
One other? Who, exactly?
Lord Havel was concerned that even if he could get the realm's armies to agree to an accord, he might not be as successful in convincing those with political power. He asked if I might have a solution, and I suggested a certain Imperial Lord Magistrate turned Liberator.
One of your co-conspirators?
Master Quinton would probably call me one of his, but yes.
Another outlaw, then. Just the thing we need to put these rotten politicos in their places. Good thinking, Clive.
I'm glad you approve.
The more the merrier, eh?
Uncle, assuming Havel and Quinton can solve our problem with the armies, you still haven't mentioned how we might manage the grain shortages.
Oh, don't you worry, my boy. The 7 high houses will be seeing to that. They have all agreed to make the most generous of donations. Oh, of course, it did take a little persuasion, but luckily I had some unexpected help.
From who?
Why, you, my boy. Rumor has it that you rescued the Lady Ariane's head steward Rockford from a horde of bloodthirsty bandits.
It was more of a handful.
Well, the old battle axe was so pleased. She had a shipload of talents delivered to my private docks by the next new moon. And when the other houses saw the parsimonious old crone's purse strings finally loosen, they as good as tripped over themselves in the rush to follow suit.
I'm happy to hear it.
Now, I must be getting back to the manor. Join us there at your earliest convenience, would you?
Of course, Uncle.
And how, pray tell, will we get that grain to the capital if the roads are still overrun with akashic?
You'll find another bloody road. I only have so many men, and I'm not about to send them headlong into an ether flood. That is, unless you'd have them turn as well.
Well, I'd certainly eat less.
Says the man with a belly bigger than a band of curls. My soldiers actually need their rations. Without any food to keep them going, they'll be dead even before you've sent them on your fool's errand.
If I may, gentlemen, perhaps I might suggest an alternative approach. Though supply routes are indeed disrupted, there is no shortage of ships. Indeed, they bob away in every bay from here to Randalar, awaiting a safe haven. Allow them to make port and fill their bellies full of grain. And once those who crowd the cities are fed, ferry the displaced back to the countryside to work the fallow fields. But I'm sure that you wish to continue your discussion. Forgive the interruption. Two such firm friends as yourselves need no help from the likes of me. Rutherford spoke fondly of the great bond between you.
Us? Friends?
I can't stand the man!
Clive, I'm beginning to question the quality of the company you keep.
And what kind of company were you expecting him to keep? The man's a criminal!
Criminal? How dare you? You are not fit to breathe the same air as this fine, upstanding young gentleman.
Upstanding? He calls himself Sid the Bloody Outlaw!
Once more onto the breach.
Shall we begin again? What we seek here is not to create a new nation, nor to claim the thrones of those that already exist. We wish simply to bring stability to the realm that mankind might weather the current storm. And to do that, we must convince those in power, the generals, the statesmen, the nobles, that our cause is just. There will be disagreements, yes, and I imagine some resistance, much resistance. But we cannot let that deter us. If we show them the path, show them that we walk it ourselves, then I am confident they will follow. The fate of the world lies in my nephew's hands, but the well-being of her people lies in ours. And we must not squander the chance that Clive has given us.
Uncle Byron,
Now, with that settled, let's move on to the signing of the Accord. For what great moment in history hasn't been accompanied by a little ceremony? Citizens of Valisthea, I present to you the Triunity. Rutherford, Mike Will. Well, my boy, the stage is set.
That it is.
This is the role you were born for. Now I ask only that you trust in the talents of your supporting cast. We shall play our parts to the best of our abilities, that you might have the opportunity to shine. The realm needs its Sir Crandall. And there is no better Crandall than you, Clive. I want you to keep this signed accord as proof of our faith in you.
I will. Thank you, Uncle. Come on.
Caution, brother.
The entire village looks abandoned. Now, which house would a bookworm live in? This is a Royal Army logbook. His interests were certainly varied. This is it. But if what it says is true, I need to get this back to the hideaway.
Leaving so soon, stranger? We've been watching you. From a distance, so to speak.
Subtle. I know who you are.
Then we need not waste time on introductions. Hand me the book. Leave it in our care and return to your life.
Your care? Do you mean to burn it or bury it?
That is not my decision to make. But by one means or another, its contents shall be removed from the common record.
Then I'll have to politely refuse. I won't let you erase our history.
Then we find ourselves at an impasse. Very well. The book can just as easily be pried from your dead hand.
Let's see, shall we?
Farewell.
Impressive. But we have other means. We shall claim the book yet.
Why do you want it so badly anyway?
It lays out in no uncertain terms the vanity and avarice of mankind. It tells the shameful history of the persecution and oppression of a gifted few by a giftless many. Would you say that this interpretation was correct?
I don't know.
You don't know. Your sword may be sharp, but your wits are dull. So let me answer for you. There is no correct interpretation of history. That a series of events took place may be proved beyond a doubt. But there can be no single, immutable explanation as to why they came to pass. It is a question of numbers and of belief. If enough people believe that a set of events occurred for a reason, that belief becomes the truth.
So you're trying to control the truth?
We are trying to protect people from themselves, from knowledge that would bring them naught but pain. That is all. You may keep the book, for now. The world is small. We shall meet again. Until then.
Wait! Damn it. Let's get this back to Vivian. Perhaps she can explain what that was all about. Vivian. I found it. The book you lost.
You found it. Thank you, Clive. Even though I asked this of you, I was not entirely sure it would be possible. I feared the executors had seized every copy.
I met with one of these executors, and I convinced him to let me keep it. He told me something. That the truth is just a matter of collective belief. And that if enough people believe a lie, that lie becomes the truth.
It does. But it also means that the truth is not immutable. That it can be changed. Provided that those who wish to change it can convince enough people that their perspective is the correct one. As the sad history of the bearers proves.
You said that the book inspired you to become a scholar.
It did. Or its author, rather. She was a heretic, you see. A firebrand and a dissenter. A gallows stood ready for her in every corner of the realm. And by shunning society, or perhaps being shunned by it, she stumbled upon a truth so potent that an entire realm trembled at the prospect of its utterance. I, too, have always felt somehow set apart from the world of men. A stranger to my own species. She taught me that my solitude was not a curse, but a gift. And that, though my journey to the truth might be a lonely one, what I found at my destination would be more than worth the cost.
Do you still feel that way? That you're not one of us?
Honestly, I'm not entirely sure anymore. Since coming to the hideaway, I find my thinking somewhat clouded. Perhaps the result of studying mankind from a rather closer perspective than I had intended. But the more I study, the more I find value in this perspective. In looking not from the outside, but from within. So if you'll permit me, I'd like to continue my work here. Remember, Clive, when enough people believe, belief begets truth. Give the men and women of this benighted world the gift of truth. Make them believe in you, as I do.
I'll try, Vivian. I'll try.
How may I help you today, Clive? You earned this. Best of luck out there, Sid.
Twinside's hundreds of leagues away. The crystal is massive.
It's usually me making demands of Hippocrates. I wonder what this is about.
First the skies, then the crystal. What next?
Say what you will, Lady Karen seen or
I will not let them be forgotten. Sid, may I have a moment?
Of course.
It is an honor to finally speak with you. My name is Herman. I've been with the Cursebreakers for some time now, and I wish to be deployed to Ash. Any assignment will do.
No. The lands across the Narrow are too dangerous. I will not send good men and women to risk their lives needlessly. Why would you want to go back?
I need to retrieve something. Something important. I was raised in an orphanage. The Badbach Conservatory. Or rather, I was held captive there. It was not a place of nurture. It existed solely to turn bearer children into mindless weapons. We were tortured until we feared no pain. Tormented until our hearts turned to stone, and few ever survived long enough to become tools of the last king.
I can't imagine.
I lost so many. I can't even remember all their names, but they must be remembered. They cannot fade away, faceless and forgotten. The Institute was run with military precision. Every child measured, every name recorded, every death logged with meticulous care. Sid, allow me to travel to Ash and recover the registry so that my brothers and sisters might live on.
You were a good friend, Herman. But the fact remains that Ash is simply too dangerous.
Sid, please. Even should it cost me my life.
Too dangerous for you, Herman. But not for me. I'll go to Bad Bach and find the registry.
You will?
I won't let you risk your life.
I don't know how to thank you.
You can start by telling me where I'll find this orphanage.
Vida Grace. Hidden in a forest, overlooking the plains.
All right. I'll see what I can find there.
May the mothers guide you.
Has Midadol mentioned a new project yet?
Whatever should I write next?
Love story, perhaps?
Say what you will, Lady Karen has seen our shelter.
Lawsman Harpocrates, I received your note.
Ah, yes. I expect you're wondering what this is all about.
You spoke of making amends with Dion, but I can't imagine what for.
Then I should begin by telling you that I was once his tutor. This was some years ago, of course, before I joined Cid in his hideaway. At that time, I was counted among the foremost scholars of Oriflamme, and was accordingly invited to the palace to supervise the young prince's education, all to ensure that the future emperor had a firm grounding in, well, everything an emperor should. History, religion, commerce, government. Alas, our time together was cut short when Dion left to join the Dragoons, his studies no longer being deemed necessary. I had not expected to meet with him again, least of all here.
Have you spoken with him?
No, I have yet to find the right moment. His Highness always seems so preoccupied, especially when alone. I would not wish to disturb his ruminations with idle words of greeting, not when I know he dwells upon the evil Ultima had him commit in the Dominion.
The guilt weighs heavily on him, I know. But as you say, that was Ultima's doing. Surely you can't blame yourself.
When I first met him, it was not guilt, but his people's expectations that weighed heavily upon him. And I did nothing to ease that burden. He bore it alone, until the day he could not bear it any longer. It is one of my greatest regrets that I only ever offered him my wisdom, when what he truly needed was friendship. The blame for Dion's transgressions lies not only on his shoulders, but on mine.
I see. I'm ready to help you in any way that I can.
Then I beg that you bring me a wild wyvern tail. Apothecaries across the ages agree that even to glimpse such a flower is to be granted inner solace. Fabulists and fraudsters all, of course. But there is oft a seed of truth to be found where even the most outlandish opinions align.
Well, it can't hurt to try. Where can I find this flower? And how will I know it?
You have seen cultivated wyvern tails before, I trust. The lily-white blossoms from whose roots the poisonous ink for the brand is distilled. Well, those which grow in the wild differ only in their purple hue. The harsher the environment in which they are raised, the deeper the color. There is a waterfall in Rickmal's roost across the strait, where the flowers once grew in abundance. Whether they still survive there, I know not. But try as I might, I can find no likelier location.
It's all right. I'll find you a wyvern tail one way or another.
Thank you, Clive. And please, be safe.
Welcome, welcome. Come again.
Your Grace, my lord, I trust your journey was not overly onerous.
Cyril, you found a letter from Father?
Yes, I have it here. If you would do us the honor, my lord.
An inheritance.
It would seem the late Archduke penned this missive shortly before his passing.
The day before we left for Phoenix Gate.
What are these plans he spoke of?
His plans for the duchy, Your Grace. Your father entrusted them to my predecessor, the former bearer of the Burning Quill, who entrusted them in turn to me. The complete emancipation of bearers is their stated aim. But your father's dream did not end there. His Grace also spoke of building hospices to care for those stricken by the curse, and the founding of a new university to further the development of non-magical technologies. With the blight spreading ever more widely across the twins, Archduke Elwyn saw this as the only means of securing Rosaria's survival.
He wished to see men and bearers treated as equals. To see centuries of common wisdom overturned. Small wonder he did not think it achievable within his lifetime.
But he thought it achievable nonetheless. Had he not, he would never have written this message. Nor would he have entrusted his vision to his most faithful aides. Those who would have stood with you, shielded you from the machinations of the less benevolent personages at court.
It's a pity only they are still with us.
'Tis true that those most loyal to your father were the first to suffer the Duchess's wrath. But one at least remains, and she has come bearing gifts.
What do you mean?
Mayhap it is better that she explain, my lord. After all, the duties entrusted to me by my predecessor extended only to recovering His Grace's will and arranging a meeting with the one who might execute it, or a part of it at least.
And where is this woman?
She awaits you in the archive, Your Grace.
Thank you, Cyril. Shall we then?
My lord, Your Grace. I hardly recognize you. I am Goditha, retainer of House Rosfield, loyal servant to the Phoenix and his shields. Your father, the Archduke Elwyn, entrusted me with the delivery of a gift. I only hope you can forgive my tardiness in bringing it to you.
Lift up your head, Lady Goditha. You have our gratitude for your service to our house and to our father.
I merely did my duty, as any proud Rosarian would.
My lady, perhaps you could explain a little more? What exactly is the gift you bring?
As I'm sure you know, It has long been the custom for the children of House Rosfield to be presented with certain keepsakes upon their coming of age.
Indeed it has. Our father often spoke of the day when our turn would come.
And had he lived to see it, he would have presented you with the treasures I bear. Matching armbands for you both. Alas, he did not live. Indeed, he was taken from us even before they could be completed. He had intended to claim the Heartstone with which each armband was to be finished himself, but it was not to be. And his gifts remain incomplete.
I see.
It saddens me to bring them before you, as they are. It was your father's wish that you be presented with the finished articles, not these works in progress. But with his grace long since gone, and the stone left unclaimed, I had little choice. You are grown men now, and his house is yours. And while I would not presume to insist upon your claiming the Heartstone in his stead, I know that nothing would have pleased him more than for you to do so.
Thank you, Lady Goditha.
What say you, Clive?
What else? Of course, my lady. May our father's will be done.
Oh, I am much obliged.
Do you know where we might find this Heartstone, my lady?
I do. Though it may be a matter of a good deal more than simply happening upon it. It is found in the bellies of elder griffins, you see. We do at least know where to find one. A certain specimen has made its nest in Titan's Wake, not far from here.
A certain specimen?
You are most perceptive, Your Grace. In answer to your unspoken question, yes. In fact, this is the very same beast your father meant to slay. I have been tracking its movements since you were but a boy. Were you to slay it in his stead, as men of House Rosfield, it would surely make your father proud.
What say you, Joshua?
What else? Titan's Wake is to the south of here. But we must not be hasty. The good lady has been disappointed once already.